So this is a continuation from that sail theory where we learned that Bernoulli's principle is creating lift on those sails. The boat's trying to heel over, but that keel starts to create resistance against the surface of the water, and boom, our boat shoots out forward, following the path of least resistance. In continuation of that, let's think about our keel a little bit more deeper. Let's think about our keel in a little more detail. This is the shape of an average keel. Things change. Modern boats, different trial and errors from different boat manufacturers, but essentially this is the shape of our keel, again, if we're looking at it from that mast down view. And you see how it has that big bulbous front in the center? Think about container ships. They have that big bulbous keel out in the front. That big bulbous keel, what it's doing is it's pushing all of that water around for the rest of the boat to slip in behind it. Our keel is doing the exact same thing. So as the water approaches the boat, all of that water is going to be forced in one direction or another around it. And then all that water is going to slip into the pointy end, creating almost a crashing moment into the back. It's not going to be dramatic because it's all in water all the time. But what our textbooks say is take a marble and push on both sides, just like this. And as you push, the more pressure you exert, boom, it shoots out going forward. That's the same thing that's happening underneath the water with our keel. Is first, our keel pushes all the water around it. It leaves room for the rest of the keel to slip in through it, and then all that water gets to the pinch point in the back and helps shoot us forward. So first, we can combine lift in our sails, and then we've got the keel creating lift underneath the surface of the water as well. Our job as sailors, wrangle all that together and try to keep the boat in a straight line. That's the fun of it. All right, moving on. You're still with me. Let's talk about keel shape. So you've probably shopped boats, you've probably looked at boats, and you're curious what all of these different keels mean. I like to start way back with Joshua Slocum. He converted an old fishing boat into something that he sailed around the world by himself. First person to ever do it. And if you look at my whiteboard here, we're going to draw his boat. It has this long keel that runs the entire length of the boat. That long keel has a lot of resistance underneath the surface of the water, which creates a lot of stability. But since there's so much mass under the water, he would have a very difficult time turning the boat. He would need a lot of wind to get the boat moving. And then all of a sudden, engines were invented. So with an engine in this boat, it was very important for it to be able to navigate through marinas and canals and ports. So some entrepreneuring young naval architect, maybe Ted Brewer, there was a forward cutaway in this keel. Now, when we have our rudder hanging back here, we might have a spot right here for our prop, and our keel could be connected on the bottom somehow. That's going to still offer all of that stability and resistance to the waves and to the big weather and to the heavy seas. But without all of that mass on the forward part of that keel, you get a lot better turning and a lot better steering and mobility. Following in concert with that, let's say we've got another entrepreneuring young naval architect. I don't know, maybe Bob Perry. I think he was the one who kind of made this famous, where we have a fin keel with a skeg, and then our rudder is attached to that skeg. You've probably heard the term fin keel with a skeg hung rudder. You're kind of getting to dabble into the best of both worlds here. We've got the water. We've got a lot of mass and a lot of resistance underneath the water to still handle those big seas and waves. But when you need the maneuverability to get into your slip, it's still doable. It's not a, just can't do it today. We might as well anchor. We might as well have a mooring. You're still getting the flexibility. So if we're thinking about boats like this, we're talking a lot about like the Valiant 40, the Passport 40, some of those really classic, iconic Bob Perry designs. And then what we're starting to see more and more of as time goes on is a traditional fin keel, but instead of having a skeg for that rudder to hang on to, we're getting basically a post through the hole that we call a spade hung rudder. Now, you can imagine, here's our water. There's a lot less volume of hull. There's a lot less massive boat beneath the surface of the water, so there's not as much resistance to handle big seas and big waves. But what we do have is phenomenal handling, phenomenal steering. It maneuvers on a dime. Everything is super quick and super nimble. Then we start playing on that, where we might cut off a little bit of that bottom part and put a wing instead of having the full fin keel. Or if you're in a more race-inspired boat, maybe that keel goes way down and they put a bulb, like a bulb keel, down on the bottom of that. So now we start thinking about all of these different keel designs. We can start looking at what do those boats do. Now, if we're boat shopping, what are we going to do with the boat? If I'm going to sail around the bay, don't really plan on doing anything much more than day sailing, I probably don't need a whole Joshua Slocum full keel, nor do I need a Cape Dory style keel with that forward cutaway. But maybe I do intend to do some overnight passages, then maybe I get the best of both worlds with that iconic Bob Perry design. Or if I want to go fast and I want to compete in some local races, perhaps I do want that wing keel or that fin keel with a spade hung rudder. We've got all of them. Hey. Our schooner Moondrift has the iconic keel just like the Slocum boat. Our Cape Dory that we crossed the Atlantic on, it's got the forward cutaway. Fin keel with the skeg hung. We got a Pearson 10 meter. And Atlas, the iconic reef runner sailing training boat, has the wing keel with a spade hung rudder. But don't let the internet tell you that you can't do stuff in that boat. We have done stuff that the internet says that boat cannot do. That's what's great about sailing. Have a great one.